Okay, let's go ahead and get started there, everybody. Welcome back to another 2 p.m. PST Twitch stream, YouTube stream, not Twitch stream, YouTube stream. I'm your host, Strange Bro Jim, and today, as you can see, we are getting back into Pega. Apologies to anybody that was like, "Hey Jim, when's your next Pega video coming out?" Well, um, apologies for being a little slow on that, but um, here we go. Let's go ahead and get started on that. So today we are going, we're going to be continuing our journey through learning Pega, getting the certification for it. We have, we're working on our system architect certification. For those of you that are trying to go for the business architect, I covered the entire business architect mission. Now, once we are done with the system architect, then we are going to go into, um, review, study, additional questions, maybe try to find some practice quizzes out there that we can use. And then we need to kind of go back over some of the concepts a little bit more in hopes that, I will, take the certification and pass it with flying colors. But we'll have to see about that. There's a lot for me to, um, there's a lot for me to kind of cover on that, and um, there's a lot for me to kind of prepare for that as well. So it's not going to be easy, but I'm hoping that you will kind of continue to join me in this journey. So, um, I want to thank everybody that has subscribed to me already. I see that we're really close to 100. The fact that I have like 99 right at this moment in time is amazing. I love that fact. Um, so I'm quite happy that you know, hey, I'm um, getting a lot of support, which is nice. I appreciate that. A lot more support than when I was getting from back when I was streaming on Twitch. I streamed on Twitch for years and really felt like I wasn't really getting too far, or getting that much. So I want to thank everybody for supporting me so far. Um, okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. Okay, so um, because we got a jam-packed day today. We got Pega to talk about, the next topic. We have some more videos to upload and make, handle the schedule for them. And then later on tonight, we got Chrono Trigger, and we are really close to the end for Chrono Trigger. Is it going to be the finale? Maybe. I might have to push it because, um, or push for the finale on it because we are really close to the end on that one. So if that's something that interests you, then stay tuned. We got a lot to cover today on today's stream. So, now for those of you that are watching this, maybe as I posted it on in my playlist for Pega, let's talk about who I am and what this series is all about. So, I'm an unemployed currently software developer who is trying to find another job. And well, the last job that I had was working with Pega, but the job that I had didn't really help me very much in terms of trying to get my certification for the system architect. They put us through training with an authorized training partner, but he was not great. Uh, pretty much all of the students that were in there, and we're talking probably about 15 or so other software developers. They went through that training, and pretty much every single last one of them went self-study because of that guy. It was not great. Um, we explained the difficulties that we were having with with that particular employee's coworkers. We were hoping that maybe we could get put back into training again so that we could actually properly learn Pega. Um, from a different training partner, but that never happened. And so, um, while there was good majority of us, or of them, I should say, not us, because I didn't get it, um, did pass their certification test. I did not my first attempt because I was pretty much rushed in my certification, and I didn't retake it when I did feel somewhat ready. Um, so that falls on me. Um, you know, the uh, I hoped that they were basically forcing me into a contract, and I was kind of hoping that maybe even the contract would have like a mentorship to kind of help me get there, but there wasn't really anything there either. So it was just a mess. Um, so now I'm not going to say that, all authorized training partners are crap. One would hope that, they will train you, perfectly in Pega. They will answer all your questions. They will know Pega, forwards and backwards. I don't know. We just had a bad experience for ours. So, um, I don't know if he was really a great teacher. And believe me, not every person can be a teacher. Okay, so don't, if that particular person decides to watch these videos, then don't beat yourself up about it or anything along those lines. Um, you know, um, or maybe look inward and try to figure out what you said or what you did, and try to be better about it. The fact that you gave your coworkers uh, information that was like, hey, they studied these particular chapters, but you never actually taught it. That's something that you need to be aware of. You know that kind of thing. So I'm not going to say, I'm not going to tell those of you that are watching right now that, hey, we're all done with System Architect. You can take your certification now. No, we're not past. We're not done with System Architect. There's still plenty of topics and challenges for us to cover on this. So don't do that. Um, Now, this is also, I'm not an authorized training partner, and this is not an instructor-led training. Okay, if you feel like I am somehow an instructor-led training, then well, you need to not do that anymore. Adjust yourself because no, I would, you know, an instructor-led training should be someone that knows Pega forwards and backwards. They can tell you everything that you need to learn about Pega in order to pass your certification with flying colors, or at least one would hope. It's like a two-week course or so, and it's like $5,000. So it's not exactly cheap there, folks, this instructor-led training. Okay, hence the reason why I don't take it. Um, it's too expensive for me right at this moment in time. I'm out of work. There's not much I can really do about that right now. Now, you know, um, one would hope that the instructor would teach you everything that there is to learn about Pega and can answer your questions. And, feel free to ask questions, to your instructor during these sessions because you want to get your money's worth out of it. You know, ask about everything about that particular version and about previous versions as well. Okay, when I took my 8.6 certification test, I was getting questions from 7 in the 8.6. Okay, so don't feel like you need to just learn that particular version and that's it. There were keywords in my certification test that were in Pega 7. Okay, so you know, ask those questions. Find out what other keywords are were similar, so you are prepared for that. Be prepared. Take those mock exams. Take all the quizzes that you can. Study all the keywords that you can. Try to lock everything that you can in your brain, so when you take that certification, you won't have any worries about it. You will look at the questions, you will know the right answer right from the start. You'll pick that right answer and you move on to the next question. Okay. So, um, so yeah. Um, all right. So, um, like I said, we're working on our system architect mission right at this moment in time. We are done with the business architect. Although, we're, for those of you that are just looking for the business architect, it's already been covered. I've already uploaded all those videos to my playlist, so you should be able to kind of see through all of those particular topics and challenges and so on and so forth. Concerning the business architect. Okay, but I will recommend for those of you that are trying to take your business architect certification, you might want to consider taking the Pega Express delivery mission as well, because these last two modules here are basically a very, very basic overview of the Pega Express. So you want to, get yourself very well familiarized with the Pega Express delivery because, well, it's like 13% of your certification exam is going to be about Pega Express. So be be sure that you are very much aware of what it can deliver. So, all right, but we're continuing on with our system architect journey. Um, let's see, where did we leave off? Did we finished off creating a rule, application data manipulation. I think we went over data transforms. Yeah, yeah. Pretty certain that we've covered that already. Yeah, yeah, we've pretty much covered that. Let's see. And I don't think we covered through um, default property values. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So, at least I don't think we covered that. Hold on a second. Let me verify that real quick. Let me go to my playlist um, for Pega real quick and verify, because I think I have everything pretty much set up. Um, hmm. Have I not uploaded it yet? Maybe I haven't uploaded it yet. Let's see. Classes and class hierarchy. Okay. And data transforms. Okay. Yep. Data transforms was the last one that I went through. So apologies on that. Let's go ahead and bring this back live. Okay. So default property values. When a user creates a case, you might want to set default values for properties that are already known to reduce the time that users spend entering data. For example, in an insurance claim case, you can set the default date of loss to today's date. Um, so if they're like, putting in an insurance claim, it's already automatically set. Or if you already established who they are, for example, like they already have like an account with you. They just log in and all their information is there and they need to make a new claim. All that information gets put in there, their first name, last name, address, so on and so forth, right? So, so a lot of it could be automatically done for you or, automatically set. So in other cases, you might want to use data from the operator record, such as user's organization unit, to initiate property values. For example, in a travel booking application, you set the first name and last name fields to the first and last name on the user operator record. In addition, you set the data travel field to today's date and the data reference field to 7 days in the future. Again, this could be different for, your business or, maybe you are aware that, or, maybe you're a company that sends out like contractors to a business to have them work there. So maybe you already know that, hey, typically a contractor, stays there for like 6 months or something like that. Obviously, data return could be, something that might be less, might be more. Um, Obviously, the data travel might, be sometime in the future. So, but these are things that, you can probably talk your with the project lead to figure out, um, do you want the first, the date of travel to be, you know, today, tomorrow, 2 weeks from now, what is, you know, uh, what day do you start off at and what day do you end at, kind of thing, So these can be discussed and talked about and so on and so forth. Maybe you find, um, the idea, maybe you have an idea as to the average time of a contractor might be out, so you always figure that, hey, the contractor will always have, you know, on average 6 months to a contract. So, you set that, to 6 months. You never know, okay? It all depends on what you want to have set there, okay? Not to say that you need to, set it at like a read only. That way, hey, you're only getting the 6 months. But you can at least set it so that it's basically like, you know, this is where we're estimating that particular person and that particular contractor can come on back. That doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be that day. Maybe the business wants that contractor to stay a year instead of 6 months. Then it can be changed, right? If you do read only, well, you're screwed. There's nothing you can do about it, and you can't necessarily change that value. So, be careful with the read-only, right? You need to be absolutely certain that, the value there, um, is indeed the the correct one. You know, even setting a default date of loss to today's date. You know, you don't necessarily want to do that. You know, and create it as a read only because let's say that they're like a victim of flooding and they can't get to anything. Like maybe they lost their phone, maybe they lost all their, computer equipment or something like that, and therefore they can't actually contact their insurance claim, you know, um, their insurance claim people until like maybe a week later or something like that. You never know. You never know what happens. Things can get really crazy in natural disasters. Um, So to expect, a person to put in their claim on that day is like, no, you know. Now they could say, for the insurance claim, like, when are um, they putting in the claim? Sure, you can set that default date to the today's date and make it read only. Therefore, that will never necessarily be changed. But I don't know why the insurance claim would want that specific kind of information, right? So maybe they need it, maybe they don't. I don't really know. That's part of the insurance business. So they could need that information. You know, I'm just giving examples of what's possible, right? So you never know. Okay, and that's something to clear up with business, you know, with the project, um, with the project owners, with the business architects. You need to kind of make sure that everything here is set. So, setting default values can also be useful in a development environment. When you iteratively run a process to test your changes, you can save time by using a data transform to enter data default values in required fields. So, when you are, like it says, when you're actually testing, you can use, you know, the data transform to kind of take information from one and pass it into, the fields that you need to. So, yeah, you can edit PY default values in App Studios by using the data initialization page on the case types settings tab. When you create a case, you can select properties to set default values and you can assign exact values to each property. You can also set properties in another property within the same case type. Available actions and properties are shown in drop-down menus. In the example below, the three data initializations are configured to perform specific actions when a case is created. Subscribe for notifications. Set the description field to user create for order. Set the work status field to initial creation. Um, you can configure more complex data initialization use cases in Dev Studio. Data transforms for default property values. Pega Platform provides two types of data transforms that you can use to automatically set default property values and page properties when you create a case. PY default and PY set fields default. As a best practice, use set fields defaults to set values for UI fields and use PY default for properties not referenced in the UI. For example, configure PY set default field defaults to set the default value for the reservation date field on a view to reserve a rental vehicle and configure PY default to set the default urgency for assignments for the case type. So in other words, yeah, you can set the default date, like, um, hey, the date on which I want to reserve a car will be for tomorrow, and the urgency, might be super high, at the for the urgency, you know, or maybe it's something that like maybe there's an option in like the application, right, where the person might say, um, they might have like three different options, like, you know, uh, renting a car a month away, renting a car this month, renting a car this week, or renting a car this, tomorrow or something like that, right? So, month away might be low urgency. You know, this month might be, low to middle urgency. This week would be middle, you know, to potentially high. Then, of course, tomorrow would be, high urgency, right? So that kind of thing. Okay. First time that you create a view for your case type, Pega platform creates the PY default and PY set default fields to data transforms. You can also create them manually. When you create a new case, the PY default data transform is invoked in the PY start case process. The PY default then invokes the PY set field defaults data transform. Okay. So whenever you start the new case, which is the PY start case, PY default is automatically generated. Um, PY default then calls the PY set fields default afterwards. So, for example, in the following image of the PY set defaults configurations, the first name and the last name fields are set to PY first name and PY last name from the operator ID clipboard page. So, um, so you're setting the first name equal to the operator ID, first name, and last name equal to the operator ID last name. So, um, now obviously when you are looking at the operator ID, you know, um, they also must, you know, um, the operator ID itself must understand that the first name field must be attributed to the PY first name and the last name is attributed to the PY last name. Otherwise, how are these two supposed to know which field to really kind of go for? You know, um, meaning, like when you create the operator ID, right? And you have two fields that are first name, last name. How does Pega over here know that PY first name here is the same as the first name field over here? Okay, you're gonna have to make sure that they're in a sense linked. It needs to kind of know that the first name field for the operator ID is indeed the PY first name. So otherwise, the PY first name isn't going to know where to really look. Okay, it might see last name for some reason as the first name. You could do that. You can basically say like, hey, this last name field here is actually the PY first name. Pega's not going to really know. I mean, if you design it that way, what Pega's not going to go, oh, that's the first name. Oh, okay, no problem. That's it's going to do that. It won't really know any better. It's not going to be like looking at the fields and suddenly going, wait, but this actually says last name here. Are you sure you want it to be the first name? It's not going to care. If that's something that you're setting up, you know, hell, you could set, the address to first name for all it cares. It won't really know. It won't really be like, hey, it's not going to be like, AI generated where it's going to be looking at the field and going, but wait, hold on. This looks strangely like an address. Are you sure that this is a first name? It's not going to care. It's not going to care about that. So, to reference the operator ID data page, you must add an entry to the Pages and Classes tab. So you have the operator ID, the data admin operator ID. For example, in the following image of these PY set field defaults configurations, the data travel field is set to the current date by using the at current date time function, and the data referred to field is set to 7 days from the current date through the add calendar data travel 000700 function. For more information on these functions, see building expressions with Expression Builder. So these are all things that you can kind of set, this, like this right up here, for example, first name, last name, data travel, data return, right? They're basically kind of showing you how to go about doing that right here. Okay. But again, well, these two might be fairly easy to kind of generate because they're using already established functions. Okay, these two, you're trying to reference the operator ID, something that's generated elsewhere. So make sure that um, that these point in the right spots. Okay. Otherwise, you could have first name and last name reversed. You know, which makes for a really annoying situation later on because let's say that you have someone's name is like John Bob or something like that, and it's like which one's the first name, which one's the last name, right? Is it John Bob or Bob John? That kind of thing. Where first name is the same as the last name, or similar. First name or the last name is similar to a first name for someone else. That kind of thing, right? You know, uh, when you create a case, the py set field defaults data transform is applied which then applies the py default data transform. Nope, that's false. That's the exact opposite. So the py default is the first, to be created, and then it applies the set fields default. So that's something that you're gonna need to make sure that you are very much familiar with along those lines. Okay, they will kind of throw that at you again. So Okay, we got 15 more minutes, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through. Yeah, this one looks like it's going to be a fairly long topic, so we're not going to cover that right at this moment in time. So we're just going to be doing the default properties values for today. So, um, so hopefully that, is that helps you out in some fashion or another. Um, hopefully you enjoyed, um, hopefully you're, getting a lot of information out of these videos that I'm doing. I know that I'm just pretty much reading through the topics. Maybe that's very helpful for you. I don't know. If it is, feel free to, say so down in the comments. I appreciate any kind of anything that are appreciating on it. Again, if there's questions that you're not really understanding, or if there's like certain things that you're not really understanding about a particular topic, you're welcome to kind of ask those questions, either right now in the chat while I'm streaming or in the comment section. Um, please do so because, um, you know, um, if it's a question that I'm not familiar with or I don't really have the answer for, then I will do my best to try to find someone that can answer it for you. Or it might be someone, um, maybe someone, a veteran, is looking through these videos themselves and they can also answer said comment, question later on. Okay, so don't be afraid to ask questions. Okay, any kind of question is is always going to be a useful one. Okay, so don't feel like don't be afraid. You know, um, I want you to be asking those questions so that you yourself can learn. You know, I might already know the answer to that question. I might already know how to respond to said question. But, that also helps me too because it re-solidifies, the information that I personally know. Maybe it's something that I'm still kind of struggling with. So you asking that question might help me out too. Okay, um, so that's why I recommend, you know, asking those questions. Okay, because um, you know, they could be useful to you, they could be useful to me, and they could be useful to others, then and down the line. So don't be afraid to ask those questions. Okay. Um, there's still a lot more to cover with the system architect. Okay, we're going through the application data manipulation, but as you can see, there's still a lot of topics and challenges for us to get through. Okay, and then we will get to the exercise at the very end. 15 tasks in 3 hours. So we got a lot to kind of cover on this. Okay, and then we got the system architect test at the very end. 60 questions. You need a passing score of 80%, and it's an hour and 30 minutes long in terms of the test overall. Now, um, in terms of the, um, like how many questions are, can you miss? Or, how many questions can you pass or, can get right on the mission test? Well, um, 80% of 60 is, 48 questions. I use a calculator there, folks, so I'm not that good at math. um, so if you miss 13 questions or more, then you're definitely going to want to go back through, everything. Or, cover through obviously cover through the modules that are difficult for you. The questions could go over the low-code app builder or low-code app builder extended, so be aware of that. Um, the mission test is comprised of questions that are in these modules. Okay, they reuse the questions. Okay, so you're going to be seeing duplicate questions and answers, from the modules in the mission test. Now, again, remember, the certification exam will not have those exact questions and those exact answers. Okay, they won't have it. Okay, so don't try to memorize the questions. Don't try to memorize the answers. That won't help you. Memorize the content of the questions, the content of the answers. Know why, you know, um, that particular question get that particular answer. Okay, if you're not sure, of the why, then you're going to struggle on the certification. Okay, so don't be, um, you know, don't memorize the question, don't memorize the answer. That won't help you. You know why the question is being asked, know why that answer is the correct answer. You know, so if you're not sure, one, they might give you the answer when you get, like, um, I've kind of done it before where it's like, hey, you go into, um, you go into a topic, okay, and you go down to the question right down there, and you try to get it wrong. Um, Let me try that one. Yeah. So, it's basically like, I didn't really look at the question. I didn't really look at the answer, right? But, you see here that it provides you with, well, this doesn't really give you that much. um, this is basically restating the answer there, which doesn't really help you all that much. But, some wrong answers will give you more details as to why it's the wrong answer. Okay. Um, so, you know, so sure, getting the right answer might be great, but don't be afraid of getting the wrong answer to see why it's the wrong answer. Okay. Learning the whys is, you know, can give you so much more in some cases because you understand, the topic. You understand, um, what they are trying to go for. Okay, so don't be afraid of, getting the questions wrong. Okay, finding out why that's the wrong answer because that will help you, you know, or at least in my particular opinion, that will help you know why, not to select that particular answer on the certification. Like, hey, here's your question. You can either have, um, what was it called? Pattern or um, differential. Oh, I'm blanking on the, um, those two rules. Um, um, or parent and child, for example. What's the difference between those two? You know, um, and you'll learn, um, if you understand, the difference between those two. you're going to get to the certification and they're going to basically say, um, IT ticket is, you know, what kind of class to work. Okay. Is it a parent class or is it a child class? Okay. And by giving, seeing this window there, you'll know, oh, yeah, that's the child class of work. Okay. But it's also a parent class of laptop request. So, you know, so that kind of thing, you know, you'll get to kind of understand, the details, you know, uh, the you know, you'll understand, more about what Pega is all about, so that when you hit that certification exam, you get hit with that question, you'll be able to go, oh, yeah, okay, there's the answer. Or at the very least, okay, you'll be able to kind of go down to the question and go, well, I'm not quite sure, which one is kind of which, but, you know, uh, I know that this one can't be on this particular field whatsoever, or something like that. You'll be able to kind of knock, some examples out or some answers out because you know that that's the wrong information. Okay. So, so at the very least, you can maybe cut down the answers from 4 that they might be giving you to 2. Okay. So, with that, that helps you kind of narrow down, what, what you need to kind of look at a little bit more. Not then you study those last 2 questions and 2 answers and go, this particular question is asking for this particular result, and well, this one, you know, is using some keywords in there that doesn't necessarily apply to the question. So I'll select the other answer, that kind of thing. You'll be able to kind of look at the answers a little bit more and try to get to, the answer that you're looking for out of it all. So, okay. All right. So, let's go ahead and kind of close this video down. I want to thank everybody for joining me for this particular Pega video. No chatters today, but that's okay. Thank you for joining me anyway, especially if you're just kind of lurking in the stream. Appreciate you being here. Um, if you're right here with me in midstream, feel free to, or even if you're watching this after the fact, you know, on my, on my channel in the playlist. Feel free to check out that playlist some more if you want to cover, if you want to see the other topics that I've already gone over. Um, feel free to, um, you know, like I said, leave a comment if you want to. Um, help me out with the YouTube algorithm with the whole liking and subscribing. That would be fantastic. That would help me out. Um, and that would also help others out as well. Get more people to see, what I've done. Um, so others can benefit from it as well. That would be fantastic. Um, Feel free to check out the other playlists that I have. The other um, development programming streams that I've done in the past. Even though some of them are probably pretty bad overall. I'll admit that I'm not the best programmer out there, but um, I'm doing what I can. Hopefully you appreciate that. Um, but check out those videos. You're also welcome to check out my other gaming videos that I do because, I like to have fun. Who doesn't? Um, you're welcome to check out all the different playlists that I have, all the games that I've played in the past. There isn't any editing right at this moment in time. Um, I haven't wanted to get into editing. I know that that's very helpful for my YouTube channel to try to break, the hours of content um, into small snippets that are, um, easier to consume. Believe me, I get it. I know. Um, I'm just not really that interested in editing, but I know that that's what I'm gonna need to do. It'd be fantastic if I can get myself an editor, but I can't afford to pay them right at the moment, so that's gonna have to hold off for now. Um, maybe someday. It'd be nice. Um, but then again, what editor would love to go through 4 hours of content to try to break it down into like maybe a 15-minute video? I would wish them luck. I mean, if you want the challenge, let me know. But again, I can't pay you right now. So um, now my idea is that hey, if I get this channel into the 1,000 subscriptions mark, and I'm able to start earning some ad revenue or whatnot, then that could help and pay for an editor, full-time editor. Um, so, I'd almost kind of consider doing, paying for an editor first um, before, taking in any money from me, because I know that an editor would make things a whole lot easier for me, you know, um, being able to, cut down a lot of this content into something a little bit more manageable. Um, but that's gonna have to wait. Um, but yeah, I think that's about it. Pretty much covered all the topics. So we're gonna go ahead and stop the recording right now.